Okay, we're looking at D1 and we're going to see how we expand M1 to finish the second part of task 2.
The command verb is to make a qualitative judgment, taking into account the different factors of using available knowledge, experience, or evidence. So it's qualitative, it's not number-based, it's how you feel, it's about your opinion, it's about your subjective opinion of if how you are, you are making decisions and how you're feeling about things. And we're actually grading it on looking at the negative impact, in fact, the potential negative impact. So you will be producing, a list of things to talk about, which are potentially in the future going to be a negative impact on business. And it's not looking back at M1, which was looking at the individual, society as a whole, and also the environment. But this is actually looking at business. So remember those points before you move on. So for distinction, you need to choose a business of just some sort of interest or some sort of business you've had dealings with. It might even be a business a member of your family works for, so that might help you get information about that particular business. I'd recommend that it was a UK business. It could be a business which originally, originated from somewhere else, but it's a business which operates within the UK at this point of time. And a business which isn't too large. So here they give some recommendations of a company such as Greggs, which I think at the moment actually has more than 200 shops. Maybe no longer qualifies, but Richer Sound might be a good example, which is a number of small independent shops scattered throughout the UK. And the business also needs to have some sort of online presence at the moment, but that might be something as simple as a Facebook web page. It may not be an actual website of their own or anything where they have customers or companies ordering online. It might just be a point of presence, as we might call it. It's a way of saying to future customers, this is who we are. And it doesn't need to sell direct to customers. It could be a type of manufacturer or it could be a type of distributor that sells to other businesses, what we call B2B. So let's look at what you need to talk about with this particular company for this first part of D1. So the company you need to talk about, for this particular, you need to have some sort of general knowledge about. So which I've already said, it can't be a company you've never even heard of. So you need to know a little bit about its product range, and maybe you might be a customer of this company, in which case that would be ideal. You need to understand its potential. You need to understand where that company is going, possibly by being a customer or somebody you know has been a customer for a period of time. They might be able to answer those sort of questions. And you need to know its direct and its indirect rivals. So direct will be companies which also operate selling exactly the same thing, but indirect will be companies which have new technologies possibly which may supersede this type of product in the future. So think of the way, for example, TV obviously superseded the radio, and the internet streaming has superseded people who had TVs which had DVD players and so on. And obviously, a lot of what you say might be intelligent guesswork. You aren't going to be able to talk to people in the know within the company. All you'll be able to do is do some research online and be able to explain what your opinion is. Going back to the actual command verb of it being qualitative, the information, basically your opinion. Now, the second part of this particular assignment is to look at general negative impact on business. So the actual book has a really good example or list of examples on this, such as protocols and so on. We'll look at in a sec. So all this can be found in section 1.4 of the actual book chapter, and it's got a heading Global Impacts. And obviously the second part of that is what we want, the first part being M1. So the second part looks at D1. So the first thing it starts with is the impact, which is that a lot of the standards and particularly the computing protocols which we need for this to become a universal way of doing things hasn't yet been put in place. So what we've really got is we've got a number of competing organizations all basically trying to be the first to have their particular protocol standardized, in the form of everybody accept this. So we've got an example here where companies such as Google and others are working together in a protocol, what's called AllJoyn, which is quite nice little name. And then it moves on and looks at, other sort of negative sort of impacts which will affect business. So obviously, if there's no standardized way of working within the remit of Internet of Everything, that's going to be a real barrier for anyone to adopt at this stage. Once that's been sorted, then you probably find Internet of Everything very quickly develops. There's also some very good, down here, there's also some very good information which you might also refer to, linking into individual privacy and obviously poor security issues. So obviously that protocol doesn't give you that security you need. Then you could have any device come into your home or even drive past, linking into your actual network and retrieving data which you want to keep private and secure. So there's examples of that, and there's page numbers that you can go to in the book as well. So all of this is general. So do some research online and think of other issues which you think could be a general concern, a general negative impact. So as I say, we've got the two parts working together here.
And the first part of Task 2 will obviously be the M1 part, where we looked at the individual, society and the environment. The second part, we're looking at the potential negative impact of Internet of Everything on business.
And your scenario hasn't changed at all. You're volunteering to help out a local newspaper. But what it does tell you in the scenario, which is worth knowing, is that you've actually got a sort of target audience for this type of article. You're writing this article for people who have just a general interest in technology and who tend to be a bit of an older generation. So that gives you more information about the type of person you're writing for. So, and here we're straight into the second part of task 2, which is the distinction piece of work, and it's the negative impacts. As I say, it's really got two parts to this as well, where the first part you're looking at one individual company, a UK-based company, not too large, not more than 200 shops, and you're looking at how it's impacted that company. But also then you're looking generally so that you have you describe to the reader a full understanding of the negative impacts to business that Internet of Everything has. And I'm not too worried about exactly the layout you use. The article needs to be in some sort of format which I would incorporate some sort of images, some sort of diagrams into to make it easier for the reader. But obviously, it's easier to describe things as diagrams with some backup text than it is to describe it completely in words, which can be confusing to the reader. As for word length, well, this article, it doesn't have an exact word length, and if it being a distinction piece of work, you'd normally expect it to be quite lengthy in the form of a report, quite a dry piece of work, but on this occasion, they're allowing you to be quite imaginative and quite visual. So I would take the opportunity of incorporating graphics and making it, I would suggest possibly from one page onwards. Now, obviously, there's a lot you can say within one page, but you can also waffle. So if you're the type of person who talks about very small amounts in one page, then you might need more than that. But it's totally up to yourself. You need to obviously describe to the reader what you feel are the negative impacts, in fact, the potential negative impacts to business of Internet of Everything, but also describe to the reader a particular example of one company you've researched and what impacts they've had with Internet of Everything. So that may take a couple of pages and you might need to work a little bit more at that. So that is totally up to you in your own particular setting. Now, obviously, if there's any information you need, obviously Google Classroom is a really good place to go and have a look. There's not a huge amount of information online at the moment, and a lot of it's confused with Internet of Things. So it might just be as wise to start with Google Classroom. And if you can't find what you're looking for in Google Classroom, contact myself or do independent research yourself. But be very careful in what you use to make sure that it is relevant. Okay, well, good luck, and hopefully that will be the end of assignment 1.